Welcome to the next episode of The Next Step. I'm here with my friend and colleague Shayla King and Jeanette Remy. They're behind the scenes making this magic happen. And we're excited to welcome DJ Washington back to the U. Dewayne Washington was a Hammond Scholar who graduated in 2020. He's now an analyst at J.P. Morgan. He's based in the Miami offices where he works in wealth management for the firm on a team that works with clients with a net worth of 25 million or more. So DJ, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
It's good to see you as always. I always look forward to our monthly meetings, and this is sort of a return to that.
Exactly. Gotta relive it.
So tell me real quick before we get into your story, it sounds intimidating working with clients who are worth 25 million or more.
It can be when you think about it, but at the end of the day, you just gotta remember they're humans just like you. And they could be demanding at times and have crazy asks, but that's what they pay me to do, When the paycheck comes in, makes it worth it.
Cool. Good. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about your current position and what you do and how you serve your clients. But let's start by looking backwards a little bit. Tell us a little bit about,
So I kind of moved around a little bit when I was younger. I was born in Minnesota, lived in Pittsburgh for a little bit, Kansas City for a little bit, Jacksonville, but we always kind of called Raleigh, North Carolina home. That's where I went, like second half of middle school and high school. I'm in North Carolina, two little sisters. We all kind of grew up there. And then while I was kind of going through the process of like thinking about college, I knew I wanted to go out of state. I knew I wanted to leave North Carolina. And actually the 30 for 30 on UM came out, and there was a part in the 30 for 30 that talks about like, the school and how it's prestige, good, private school. And I was just confused. I was like, how can this small private school have like such a good football team or whatever? So my family and we took a cruise out of Miami, and I convinced my parents to stay extra days so I could tour UM. And this was like sophomore year of high school. And just on that tour, I kind of fell in love with the school. And I always kept it in the back of my mind throughout all of college. And I only applied to 3 schools. I only applied to UM, Stanford, and Wake Forest. So definitely kind of risked it all with the schools I applied to. With such limited, but thankfully got into UM and got the Hammond Scholarship, and it was a no-brainer.
Awesome. I remember meeting you and your dad at the Hammond Scholarship weekend, I guess probably about 5 or 6 years ago at this point. And I remember I remember thinking you guys looked exactly alike. It was so obvious. Yeah.
We get that a lot.
So tell us about your time at UM. What did you study, and how did you decide on that major?
So I actually came in as a business law major, because at one point in time I wanted to go to law school. But it was actually I think it was summer after freshman year. I was in the Wellness Center. I met a law professor there, and he told me to change my major. He was like, what are you going to do with a business law degree? He's like, your only thing you can do is go to law school with that. You can't really do much else. He was like, you need to major in either finance or accounting, and you can still go to law school with a finance or accounting degree, but you can still do a lot of other things in the world. But with business law, you're putting yourself in a rabbit hole. All you can do is go to law school if you don't like law school. And like for that to come from like a law professor, it kind of hit me. So yeah, then I think like midway through like my sophomore year, I changed my major to accounting and finance. And then eventually I kept the business law minor though. I already took some classes or whatever, so I kept the minor. And then I probably get to this later on, but when I ended up interning on Wall Street and everything and knew I was going to go down that path, I dropped accounting down to a minor and kept the finance major. And really a law professor in the Wellness Center is why it kind of convinced me to study finance.
That's a great story because, one, we encourage students to talk to faculty all the time, but typically it's in the framework of their professors that semester, getting to know them, making some connections, and trying to hold on to those connections during their time here. But this was different. This was a conversation you had in the Wellness Center. So was it just sort of the ordinary, you were working out near each other and started chatting?
No. So I was actually, because I was here over that summer for football, and honestly, like I was only taking one class, so for more time, I picked up a job at the Wellness, and he always came every day. So you know how it is. Eventually, like you say hello, hello, you start a conversation, and over time we just started talking.
Okay, cool. So you kind of already answered a couple of my other questions about how your interests evolved while you were at school, but it's cool to hear that what you came in planning to do ended up sort of transforming over time. Where does your interest in law school stand today?
I don't think that'll happen right now. No, I like the role I'm in now. I like my job. So at least for the near future, I don't see law school's not in the plans.
Okay, cool. And so what were some of the things you were involved in outside the classroom? So you were pretty active on campus.
Yeah, so my freshman, sophomore year, I played football at UM. And it was really kind of during like my really second semester freshman year where I kind of started feeling like I was not really taking advantage of everything had for me. So going to my sophomore year, I kind of like made it like a focus point to get more involved with things. So really during my first semester, freshman year, like I pledged Delta Sigma Pi. I went through the process of joining the Hyperion Council. I still joined the debate team. So those were like my key kind of three things I did first semester, sophomore year. And then at the end of first semester, sophomore year, I decided to walk away from football. And I dove deep in those other three activities and then some other activities on campus, like, because I worked on the Wellness Center. I also worked, I was an SA for a little bit in the dorms and some other activities I got involved with. So it was kind of a good pivot for me from a time-wise. Not like I walked away from football and I decided all this time. I feel like I kind of did it properly of, vetted out some things first semester. So second semester, sophomore year, I was head deep into it and it's good to go.
Mm. Yeah, football requires a lot of time, and you sort of felt like you were missing out on a different part of the experience.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, and I knew like football wasn't like the long-term plan, and I feel like I had to figure out a way to set myself up for my future self. If that makes sense. And knew football was in those plans, and I knew school was. So I had to make a business decision on my life, as I like to say.
So thinking about your whole 4 years in undergrad, what would you say was the most transformative experience or most transformative engagement that you had while you were in college?
There's really kind of like two things. So like one is really isn't, I guess it was the 4 years I was in college, but wasn't really on campus. But when I interned at City, just being a sophomore in college, going to New York by myself, 10-week internship at a big bank on Wall Street. I've only studied finance for a year, walking on the trading floor, there's not that many African Americans. So, I was 20 at that time, walking in, and like that was I grew up a lot over that summer. Like I grew up a lot, learned a lot, even about myself. So that was very transformative for me. And I'll say the other point that was very transformative, honestly, when I went for like student government president. That was very transformative because I met so many people through that process that I wouldn't have met before. It was like cool. Although I lost, like it was cool. Like I still talk to people today. Like I know the elections just happened, and like still to this day, people like were texting me like, "Oh, are you paying attention to elections or whatever?" Because it's like it was a cool time, and during my time. So that was definitely transformative, also.
Mm. Cool. It's good that you bring that up. I do remember that election. There's a lot happening. Sort of as much drama as surrounded our national elections almost.
Hey. Happens.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up because I could see that being a really transformative experience for you in college. So you mentioned summers, and I think what you mentioned was was that the experience you had your freshman year interning at City? Is that right?
That was after my sophomore year.
after your sophomore year. How did you spend your summer in your first year?
So summer, my first year was football. I stayed here with football and worked at the Wellness Center, took a class. Like, obviously that was very impactful. You know, I was like, being in Miami over the summer within itself is burning hot. Like, and then obviously the bond that you create, you know, there's nobody else on campus. So all you have is your teammates, you know, so like the bond with like those guys and stuff, like still friends till today. And honestly, I would say that actually, I'll tell you that that's probably the third also kind of big moment for me is because, you know, I'm from North Carolina. You know, I'm like, you know, comparative to people from Florida, I'm a country boy from North Carolina, you know? So kind of coming here was like honestly a different world. And that summer, being here a year and really having to, you know, get an environment by my teammates, that was very different for me. That's one also.
Okay, so skipping ahead then to your sophomore summer, you took the internship at City, but you actually had another offer as well, right? How did you talk a little bit about the decision you had to make that summer?
Yeah, so I had an offer to intern at Restaurant Brand International. For those who don't know, they're the parent company of Burger King, Popeyes, and Tim Hortons. They also had opportunity to intern at City, or had opportunity to, you know, do what I did after my freshman summer, stay here and play football. And honestly, like, so I had three honestly pretty good choices, but I decided to just, and none of them, I couldn't have all of them, or I couldn't have one and the other. Like it was one, you know? So I knew if I chose RBI or City, I had to walk away from football. So just that within itself was tough, grasping, you know, leaving football game I played my whole life, leaving that. But like I was saying earlier, like I had to make a business decision on my life and long term. And then it came down to like RBI City. It was like, just being honest, I was like, if I work at City, I could go back to RBI one day if I really wanted to. If I go to RBI, can't really go to City. Well, you can, but it'll be a lot tougher. So yeah, I took the City opportunity.
Okay, so you saw it as easier to transition from one direction versus the other, and that was kind of how you broke the tie in terms of that decision.
Right, exactly.
Cool. And how about your junior summer? What did you do that year?
Junior summer, I interned at JP Morgan. So City, after my sophomore year, asked me to come back for my junior summer. Also had an opportunity at JP Morgan, as mentioned. So what came out of that decision was City doesn't let you intern in this city you want to, well, that's kind of weird. Citibank doesn't let you intern in the city you want to work at. So I knew I wanted to work in Miami because after my sophomore summer, I was like, New York is not for me. JP Morgan does allow you to do that. So just right there, I was like, all right, I'm gonna be able to stay in Miami. Makes perfect sense. And then on top of that, you know, just the firm within itself, I liked JP Morgan a little bit more. Just once again, just kind of make sure I'm setting my future self up properly.
I'm sure some of our guests will have some more questions about maybe how you secured those summer internship opportunities. So we'll save some of that for them. And on that topic, I want to just mention to the audience, go ahead and use the Q&A feature at the bottom to submit your questions. You can start now, and Shayla will reach out and we'll get started with the Q&A portion in a little bit. But first, DJ, I want to hear a little more about your current job. So tell us about, you know, your current position, maybe a little bit about your day-to-day responsibilities, but also what's your sort of overarching goal for the clients you serve?
Right. So as Chris mentioned, my group specifically, we work with clients with net worth of 25 million or more. We basically do everything for clients. We kind of break into three buckets: banking, which you can think of, you know, basic checking, savings accounts, anything like that. We help set up, open, whatever. Then investments. So we invest their money in the markets, however they see fit. And the third piece is lending, whether that's providing a mortgage, whether that's providing, you know, a line of credit for them, whether they want to finance a boat, a car, art. So that's kind of like the three main buckets of what we do. And the main goal, you know, when you have that much wealth, our main goal obviously is to make the money, but most importantly is to preserve it, to make sure that they don't do anything out of character, in that, you know, if the markets do go down, they're protected the right way. Because a lot of these people, they have their own companies, you know, so like they're kind of risking it all with their companies. So they look at us as in, yes, my goal is just for you to earn me 5% a year. Yes, the market may be up, like last year, the market was up like 16%. Like, yes, they know that, but their goal isn't all the time to beat the market, is to just give me 5% a year. I can live off that. Think about it, 5% of $100 million, that's $5 million. You're living very comfortable, you know? You know, and then some clients is just, I just want the lowest rate you can give me for debt. A lot of clients, they like to live off debt, just being honest. They're like, yes, have this big stockpile of cash, but I don't want to touch it. I want to use the bank's money, which right now is kind of free money in a way for how low rates are. So makes perfect sense. You know, like they're gonna live their life off of debt, and then when they have to pay it back, they'll pay it back because the money is the market growing and it works out. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so you're in your first year in this role. Are you face to face with clients, or are you more behind the scenes? Are you doing research? Are you seeking out opportunities?
Face to face, like a lot of clients still call me, asking me questions about certain stuff they need. Obviously, once things get to like a certain level, of course, I'll bring in, I guess we could consider him like my boss, the main like relationship person. But like the day-to-day stuff for clients, I will handle, whether there's, you know, opening an account for them or whatever you can imagine that people need from a day-to-day, I will handle. But the overall strategic aspect of things, and like when we have those monthly, quarterly, yearly meetings, those are led by someone else. Because, you know, nobody's going to trust a 23-year-old straight out of college with the strategic goal of their of their wealth. So, you know, in a couple of years, you know, I'll get to that position. But right now, it's kind of more of learning from my higher ups and taking care of the day-to-day for clients.
Got it. So you referenced in a couple of years, and I wanted to ask about your vision for the future. It seems like you really like the path you're on. But what do you see for yourself 5, 10 years down the road? How do you see those years progressing?
5 years from now, I do see myself here, JP Morgan, you know, climb up the ladder. 10 years, you never know. You know, even one thing I've kind of realized throughout my 8 months here now is that a lot of people come and a lot of people go. You know, there's always new opportunities arising, and you have to keep your ears up to that. But at the same time, like, I'm dedicated to the right now, and I'm dedicated to what I have to do today.
Sure. It sounds like you really do appreciate wealth management. You like the path that you're on. I do remember you and I having some conversations in the past where politics came up. Is that still anything that crosses your mind?
Maybe one day we'll see. The right opportunity arises. You know, especially in today's age, the traditional standard politician is kind of getting phased out in a way. If you kind of see the landscape, specifically for one party, I guess, whatever. But yeah, I feel like people hold this calls when we're 40, 50 years old. We're going to see a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, you know, who were once a business person or once in the medical field or once doing something else, running for office. You know, I feel like that's a trend we're headed in, and we'll see what happens in the future.
So we're not going to break the internet today with any sort of announcement of a 2036 bid or anything.
I wish I had something that exciting, but not right now.
All right, DJ, we're going to open it up for some questions, but first let's get to know you a little bit more on maybe a personal level for those attending or watching who might not know you so well personally. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your favorite cuisine?
Ribs and wings, like not together, but like ribs, and I also like wings a lot.
Okay, so
It's like
follow-up question on that. If you're talking about barbecue And you're a Carolina guy. That means you have some pretty strict rules to follow, right? Tell us about the sauce.
Like for the ribs or for like the wings and stuff.
So I know like Kansas City has its barbecue, Texas has its barbecue. It doesn't Carolina have the golden sauce with like mustard in it, I think?
Yeah, that's all right. I like my mom's barbecue sauce, to be honest, but her sauce that she makes. Like it's like honestly, I wish I knew what's in it. I just know it tastes good. So my mom, whatever, I need to ask her for the recipe. But whatever she whips up when I go home, that's what I like. So Adamo Washington's sauce.
A proprietary blend.
Yeah.
What's the favorite trip you've ever taken?
Spring break this past year. So my senior year spring break, I went to Shanghai. I'm about to say Hong Kong, but I went to Shanghai. That was pretty cool going over there to Asia for a week, and just honestly just there was no plan or rhyme or reason why my friend and I went. We just went there and just were tourists.
That sounds cool. Very cool. What is the best decade for music in your view?
Oh, right now, like Lil Baby, Roddy Ricch, right now for sure.
Yeah. A little more serious. What is something you are most proud of?
Something I'm most proud of. Honestly, like right now, I would say kind of like two things like kind of come to mind. Like, right, one thing is obviously getting to and receiving the Hammond Scholarship. Like that was, that was pretty cool. That was one thing. Honestly, another thing was getting this job because when I graduated from high school, I told my mom and dad I'm never coming back home. So for me to like actually like make that happen was pretty cool. Then also running for president. Like, although I lost, like that was pretty like in a way see the impact that occurred. That was pretty cool.
I love that. So even though you didn't win, you're still sort of most proud of engaging in that experience.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's great. Cool. So is there anything you would do differently if you could?
I would, in a way, kind of like have more fun. Like I feel like I didn't necessarily I was soaked in the college experience from like a academic and extracurricular standpoint, but I don't think I necessarily enjoyed it enough. If that makes sense. Especially like now, like being in the real world and like working and seeing the other side of things. I wish I would have took a step back and definitely enjoyed it a little bit more.
Okay, so by that, do you mean just sort of slow down a little bit, maybe not be as busy as you were? Or do you mean like party more, spend time with your friends more?
Yeah, definitely I've been as busy and kind of like relaxed a little bit. And, also, in college, you kind of spend all your time with your friends just by default. You're living with them, you're in class with them. But I'll definitely say more of like a relax, not be as busy. But you could look at the other side of things, but will I be where I'm at today if I didn't do that? Who knows? We'll never know. But in hindsight, I wish I did kind of like enjoyed and appreciated the college experience a little bit more.
Good. So you would say try to strike a balance for all things. Good.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, listen, let's finally, one other question. You mentioned sort of being proud of receiving the Hammond Scholarship. Tell us a little bit about what that means to you, having been a Hammond Scholar at UM.
Like a lot of my like friends, like Adrian, he probably stayed with me for like a month. Like he just worked from home here with me. It's like a lot of like, my good friends are Hammonds. Ashley, me and her are still like very, very cool. Jabari. So it's like honestly, just having that automatic kind of group of people you can connect with was cool. And also having opportunities like this and having, I guess, a set connection to like that means a lot. A lot of people graduate and like, their connection may be some student-led organization, and it's like once you graduate, you're not going to really be involved with that student organization. But something like this with OAE and Hammond, like it's something I can always like go back to. So like it means a lot. Always a connection to for me.
Cool. Well, thanks, DJ. We want to open it up a little bit, let some students engage with you a little. I know there were a lot of students who were very excited to see you on our list for the semester, this season of the Next Step. So I'd like to bring my co-host, Shayla King, in, and we'll see what the students would like to hear more about.
All right. Hi, everybody. So the first question is from a student who is asking, why did you choose JP Morgan over other banks?
So JP Morgan is like the largest bank in the US based on assets. So just right there, like its balance sheet and the capabilities of the bank, like it'll always be around. Like if there was another financial crisis, if there's one bank you want to work for, you want to work for JP Morgan because we're in the best situation to survive such a thing. So job security is one. Two was like when I interned here, like the people were like really cool and welcoming, and granted, the line of business I'm in, wealth management, you kind of have to be a people person. You kind of have to be cool, per se. So, that was very appealing. And then, as I mentioned earlier, like just like the name recognition of it.
Nice. Thank you so much. Our next question is coming from Jason. Jason, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and ask your question.
Hey, DJ, how you doing, man?
What's up, Jason?
For those of so the introduction, right? So I'm from Chicago. I'm a senior this year, and my question to you, DJ, is now that the structure that the school provides is gone, from going to class and being involved in clubs, how do you structure your life now as an adult? Like, are you involved in like club sports, or I don't know, just yeah.
So I enjoy my weekends a lot. Because like I'm just being honest, like right now I work like 14, 15-hour days. Like I'm working 7 to 10, like normal. So during the week, it's kind of hard to strike that balance per se of getting involved with like stuff outside of work. But weekends, like I like to go play golf, like to go out with friends, hang out with friends. So one thing I do kind of have in mind is as I turn into a second year analyst is kind of getting more involved with like professional networks and stuff in the city of Miami. But this first year has just been kind of crazy and a lot to grasp everything.
Awesome. Thanks, man. We'll catch up soon.
For sure.
Hi, I think yes, for introduction as well. So I'm Chris Walker. I'm currently a sophomore from Palm Beach, Florida, majoring in economics in the business school. And I wanted to ask DJ, considering that he's in wealth management, like traditionally, you have like a closer relationship with your clientele. But with COVID, how has that affected like your one-on-one relationship with your specific clients?
So it's actually funny you said I had that conversation with one of my coworkers, and this is like we actually have a lot more meetings now than we did like pre-COVID, just because it's Zoom. Like it's easy to hop on a Zoom where before you have to go to a restaurant to meet with a client, or they'll come into the office, or you'll meet them out somewhere. You go play like a round of golf with them. So with our current clients, at least, we're having a lot more FaceTime with them, just because it's so easy now, and it's not weird to say, "Oh, hey, let's hop on a Zoom," or "Hey, let's FaceTime real quick." It's not weird. Like that's normal now. So from the current clients, like COVID has helped get closer in a way. But for prospects and future clients, it is tougher in a way, from a sense that you don't have those like social environments where you normally kind of like just somehow stumble across somebody. So right now it's a lot more of referrals. We're getting a lot more referrals. And then honestly, like last year for JP Morgan specifically, it helped us because when the markets went down, some people didn't like how the portfolios performed, or they just didn't like what occurred in 2020. So a lot of people are looking for outs, or looking for other.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Christoph. Our next question is coming from Edwin. Edwin, if you could go ahead, unmute yourself, turn on your camera, and ask your question.
Hi, DJ. So my name is Edwin, and I'm from Okeechobee. I'm currently majoring in finance, and I just started college. I'm a freshman. I was wondering, I'm looking to work at a bank like JP Morgan someday. So I was curious as to how you got your internship, and like what tips do you have for a freshman like myself?
Was like, so freshman for yourself, like right now, try to get involved on kind of like finance-based orgs on campus. Like Target Canes would be a good one. Join a business fraternity. And then the sophomore year, look forward to going through the process of Vermont Carlin. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but it's like organization business school that helps students get jobs on Wall Street. Honestly, your freshman summer, there's not going to be that many opportunities. So I always tell people, try to do anything that you can put on your resume that shows you're interested in finance, whether that's, working in the inventory department of your local Target, or like something that may seem lame, but something that looks financy, because you're not going to work for a bulge bracket as a freshman. Sophomore year, sophomore summer, that's when things kind of pick up. And how to get those internships, man, is just honestly just networking. Like I said, I work 14, 15 hours a day right now. And at the end of the day, people want to work with people that they enjoy, So networking, being cool, and like at the end of the day, they'll teach you the job, but they want to work with people who are willing to learn and that they like and enjoy, because they're going to be around you more than they're around their families. So network, definitely network.
Our next question is coming from Jamie. Jamie, as soon as you enter, go ahead and unmute yourself, turn on your camera, and ask your question.
Hi, DJ. For everyone who doesn't know me, I'm Jamie Williams. I'm a sophomore studying business tech, and I'm from the Philadelphia area. DJ, my question for you is, how do you maintain, I guess, your professional relationships that you make via Zoom and like online meetings, considering like you're not in the office every day?
It was like pretty tough at first. Your question is like, how do I keep those relationships, right?
Yeah, like how do you maintain them and just like stay friends with your colleagues?
Yeah, so like honestly, like at first it was kind of tough. A lot of people like don't even know, like when you're new, a lot of people don't even know like you're around. They're just used to their set people who they'll work with or who they'll talk to. So a lot of it was just asking people like, hey, let's hop on a quick Zoom. Like what you normally do in the office, like a quick coffee chat. Like, hey, let's have a quick Zoom. So did a lot of that, and then my coworkers who I worked with most consistently, like we always just had a FaceTime running throughout the day. So like we'll be like a 4 or 5 person like FaceTime group going on, and then any questions somebody has, we'll ask each other. So that's kind of how we emulate the office feeling.
All right, thank you.
Much for opening up with our students. Like I said, I know Shayla and I have conversations with students all the time who are sort of trying to, blaze a trail similar to yours. So a lot of really good insights. Thank you very much.
Of course. Anytime.
DJ, it's good to see you.
Yes, always a pleasure. Hopefully one day I'll be allowed to go back on campus once all this COVID stuff is over.
It'll be great to see you in person, to hang out a little bit. Otherwise, I enjoy reconnecting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you. You've always been bright, talented, and personable, and you've got a lot to offer. So your clients are lucky, JP Morgan's lucky, and we were lucky to have you.
Yeah, appreciate it. I love the you.
Hey, speaking of the you, how about for old time's sake, we throw it up? Thanks, DJ.
Bye-bye, everyone.